Welcome to this instructional guide for completing the Level B assessment to review and enhance responses for children and young people who have displayed harmful sexual behaviours. This tool helps us comprehensively understand and assess multiple incidents of harmful sexual behaviour, so we can respond in ways that promote the child's safety and well-being. You'll use this form if there have been 2 or more Level A checklists completed, or if a single Level A checklist flagged sexual behaviour that was considered concerning, very concerning, or serious. Let's walk through the process together, step by step, so you feel comfortable using this important tool. Remember, you can also review the practice guidelines that accompany the tools, and I would also encourage you to have reviewed the additional training available to you on understanding harmful sexual behaviours. The form also provides links to helpful age-related tables, which describe examples of different types of sexual behaviours across the continuum. The continuum used to assess the behaviours in this form is the Laid Continuum for Understanding Harmful Sexual Behaviours, a contemporary framework designed for the West Australian context. We recommend taking a moment to review these tables for the relevant age group before completing the form, to give you the right context. This first section is relatively straightforward. It's about gathering basic demographic information about the child or young person. Here you'll enter the child or young person's name, date of birth, current age, the name of their caregiver and their placement location. You'll also note down the date you're completing the form and your name. This helps to maintain a clear record of when assessments happen and who's involved in the process. Section 3 is about understanding the child or young person's cultural background. If the child or young person is Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander, or if they come from a culturally, linguistically or religiously diverse background, it's important to consult with an Aboriginal practice lead or other appropriate cultural advisor. Their guidance will help you ensure the assessment is sensitive to the child's cultural needs and respectful of their identity. Given the complex nature of this assessment, collaboration is key. Section 4 allows you to record the names and roles of the professionals or individuals you've consulted during the review. This might include teachers, healthcare providers, or other members of the child's care team. You may even decide to do the review and fill out the form together at a regular care team meeting. It's essential to gather as much information as possible from those involved with the child's life to ensure we're getting a complete picture. In Section 5, you'll describe the behaviour you're assessing based on previous Level A checklists. Be objective and clear in your language. Avoid using emotional terms. Describe what happened so anyone reading this later on can understand exactly what behaviours you observed or are concerned about. Section 6 is about taking a step back and considering where you think the collection of behaviours sit along the continuum. Be sure to consider all previous sexual behaviour over the past 6 months. And remember, you can review the age-related behaviours tables for the child or young person's age range to help you place the behaviours on the continuum. The link is at the top of the form if you need to reference it again. In Section 7, we move on to consider the child's developmental abilities, including their cognitive, language, social and emotional, physical, biological and sexual development. Think about whether the child or young person has any developmental delays, developmental strengths or additional considerations for these areas. These factors might influence their behaviour and need to be carefully considered in responses to support wellbeing. Next, Section 8 encourages us to look at the context surrounding the child's behaviour. What's going on in their life that might be relevant? This can involve their social context, cultural or religious context, environmental context, including their care arrangements. It's important to understand the bigger picture, such as whether there's been recent changes in the living situation or peer group, which might be influencing their behaviours. Section 9 focuses on consent, mutuality and reciprocity if the behaviours involve other children. If another child was involved, you'll need to describe the information such as who they are, how they were involved, and their age. Then you'll place the behaviours on the continuum based on these factors. You should avoid using the name of the other child in this section. Your organisation may suggest the use of acronyms here. If no other children were involved, simply note that and move on to the next section. Section 10 looks at the pattern of the behaviour over the past 6 months. You'll answer 5 key questions to help understand the type of behaviours and where they have occurred, how often they've occurred, and whether there's been any escalation or persistence. Once you've reflected on this, you'll rate where the behaviours fall on the continuum. In section 11, we focus on the supports and services that have previously been put in place for the child or young person in relation to the behaviour. What interventions have been tried? What's worked well and what didn't? It's also an opportunity to think about strengths within the child support network, whether it's family, carers, or other professionals that can help in promoting their safety and well-being. Now in section 12, we shift to examining the child or young person's own perspective. What are their views on the behaviour? Are they open to talking about it, or do they avoid the situation altogether? You'll answer 4 questions that capture how comfortable and engaged the child or young person is in discussing their actions and what perceptions they hold about the behaviours and the impact on their life. This is a critical step to include the voice of the child or young person. Section 13 brings everything together for a final review of the behaviours. You'll be asked to rate your level of concern for the child's well-being and the safety of other children. This is also the place to summarise your reasoning and make one last judgment about where the behaviours fit on the continuum. Remember to be as objective as possible. Finally, in section 14, you'll find suggested actions based on your assessment. There are recommendations for each category of behaviour, ranging from developmentally appropriate through to serious or extreme. This section is crucial for planning next steps and ensuring the child or young person has the right supports moving forward. It's important to remember that even for more concerning behaviours, all the steps noted before should be completed. Thanks for taking the time to watch this guide. By carefully completing the Level B assessment, you're contributing to the safety and well-being of children and young people who need our support the most. Remember, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to your care team or consult the guidelines that accompany this form. Your role is incredibly important, and the information you provide here helps shape the right response for the child or young person.